In a forgotten little town, tucked between fog-soaked valleys and leafless woods, there stood an old crooked house with smoke curling from its twisted chimney like a serpent in the dark. Children spoke of it in whispers. Grown-ups crossed the road rather than pass too near. Inside that lopsided house lived Witch Fury, a name that sent shivers through the hearts of all who heard it. No one truly knew her. Some said she brewed storms in her cauldron. Others swore she whispered to ghosts that perched on the gnarled trees outside. But the truth was simpler and sadder. Fury was not evil. She was merely clumsy. Her spells rarely went right. Her broom never flew straight, and her potions were more likely to explode than enchant. Yet her heart still longed to prove her power. One chilly pumpkin-orange morning, Fury stood before her bubbling cauldron. Green vapors rose in slow curls, filling the air with the smell of moss and burnt sugar. Her loyal dog Boby wagged his tail beside her, knocking over jars and broomsticks as he went. "Boby! Stop running in circles," she scolded, waving a crooked finger. "You'll spill my unhappy potion before I even finish it." But Boby didn't listen. He barked cheerfully and darted between her legs, tail thumping against dusty shelves. Fury sighed, wiping her forehead. "All right then, let's make history." She leaned over the cauldron and began to chant, laughter to tears, smiles to fears, sweet dreams to spooky screams. She reached for the bottle marked Batclaw Essence, but in her haste she grabbed the wrong one. The label read, "Sugar powder for cupcakes only." Without noticing, she poured it in. The cauldron hissed, fizzed, and then bloomed with pink sparkles instead of the usual black smoke. Fury frowned but shrugged. Maybe evil can look cute. She poured the potion into a crystal vial, corked it tightly, and smiled proudly. "This," she said, "will turn every giggle in town into a sob." Just then, Boby tripped on her broom and crashed into her feet. Fury stumbled backward. The vial flew from her hands, spinning in the air, and shattered on the poor dog's head. A flash of light, a puff of cinnamon-scented mist. "Boby?" she whispered. The dog blinked. Then boing! He turned into a giant bouncing candy, a round, shiny, caramel-colored ball with wagging, sugar-striped tail. "No! No, no, no!" Fury shrieked, chasing the candy dog as it bounced around the room, knocking over cauldrons, spoons, and shelves. "Boby, stop! You'll melt!" But Boby was having the time of his sweet life. He bounced right out the window, tumbled into the pond outside, and plop! Melted into sugary ripples. Fury stood frozen, staring at the pond's glimmering surface. The water shimmered pink under the moonlight. "No, Boby," she whispered, falling to her knees. "You were my only friend." That night, a single light burned in her crooked window, a soft, sorrowful glow for a lost companion by morning. The town buzzed with gossip. The witch's dog exploded into candy. One child told another. "No," said another, "she tried to curse the town and failed. The spirits punished her." Within a day, stories spread like wildfire. Some were funny, others cruel. The townsfolk laughed for the first time in years. "She can't hurt us anymore," they said. "Let's celebrate with candy and laughter." They gathered in the square, handing out sweets, wearing silly hats and knocking on doors saying, "Trick or treat," mocking the witch who had lost her magic. But not everyone laughed. A kind-hearted girl named Millie stood apart, holding a small basket of food for the stray cats by the pond. She had seen Fury from afar many times, feeding crows, helping injured bats, whispering to her dog. "She wasn't evil," Millie murmured. "She was just lonely." That evening, when others danced and sang, Millie lit a candle by the pond. "This is for Boby," she whispered. "May your spirit chase butterflies in heaven." Year after year, the people celebrated that night as Halloween, never realizing it began from heartbreak. And every Halloween, Millie made it her ritual to feed every stray animal she could find, in honor of the witch's lost companion. Years passed. The laughter of children filled the streets each autumn, but far away in her crooked house, Fury's heart grew colder. Her mirrors whispered of betrayal. Her broom gathered dust. And every year, when the moon turned orange and the wind smelled of candy, she remembered Boby melting away. They laughed. she muttered to herself, stirring a pot of bubbling blue slime. They took my pain and made it their joy. Halloween, they call it. My curse turned into their festival. Her voice cracked like thunder. Well, not this year. This year they'll remember who I am. That Halloween night under the full moon, Witch Fury disguised herself. She wore a ragged black cloak and placed a giant carved pumpkin head over her face. Through its grinning mouth, her eyes gleamed. She looked in the mirror and cackled. Perfect. They'll think I'm one of them. Then she grabbed a small bottle, the same recipe. Unchanged except for one thing, this time. She knew what it did. Laughter to tears, she whispered again. Smiles to fears. She stepped outside for the first time in years. The wind carried the scent of roasted corn, pumpkin pies, and caramel apples. Lanterns flickered. Children in costumes ran from house to house, shouting, "Trick or treat." The witch smiled beneath her pumpkin mask. "Treat, I have just the thing." Her first knock was on the baker's door. The man opened it, smiling warmly. "Oh, what a fine pumpkin costume." "Trick or treat?" "Treat," said Fury sweetly. "Here's yours." She sprayed a fine mist of potion across his face. The baker gasped, and poof, turned into a massive bouncing candy roll covered in powdered sugar. The witch laughed so hard her pumpkin shook. "Now let's see you laugh at me." She ran down the street, knocking on more doors. One by one, people opened to her cheerful trick or treat, and one by one they transformed into candies. Cookies, caramel apples, and chocolate bars that hopped down the road like living toys. Soon, the whole town square glistened with bouncing sweets under the moonlight. At that very moment, Millie was outside feeding stray kittens by the old fountain. She saw a caramel apple roll past her feet and blinked. What on earth? Then came a bouncing chocolate bar, a lollipop with legs, and a toffee spinning like a wheel. Is this some new festival trick? She wondered aloud, but when a huge jelly candy bumped into her and whimpered like a frightened child, Millie realized the truth. Oh no, this isn't a trick. It's a curse. She followed the sticky footprints down the cobblestone road until she spotted a figure in a pumpkin head, spraying people and laughing wildly. "Stop!" Millie shouted, running forward. "Who are you? What are you doing?" The pumpkin-headed witch froze. She recognized that voice. Fear gripped her heart and she turned to run. The chase began. The night turned chaotic. Pumpkins rolled from knocked-over carts, candy wrappers blew in the wind, and the witch's laughter echoed through the narrow lanes. Millie darted after her, leaping over fallen decorations and scattered treats. "Stop running!" Millie cried. "You're only making things worse." "Stay away!" Fury shouted back, her voice muffled under the pumpkin. "They deserve this." The witch's foot caught on a string of lanterns, sending fiery paper pumpkins tumbling down. Sparks danced across the cobblestones as she stumbled into a narrow alleyway, a dead end. Panting, she turned to find Millie blocking her path. Millie stepped closer, heart pounding. "Who are you really?" she demanded, grabbing the edge of the pumpkin head. Fury tried to pull away, but it slipped off easily, rolling across the ground. Moonlight fell on her pale, tear-streaked face. "Witch Fury," Millie whispered. "It's you." Fury backed against the wall. "They laughed at me. They took my sorrow and made it a game. While I cried for my dog, they sang songs and ate candy in his name." Her voice broke into sobs. "I only wanted to remind them what pain feels like." Millie looked at her, not as a witch, but as a woman who had loved and lost. "Fury," she said softly, "revenge won't heal your heart. You've suffered enough. Let me help you." Fury shook her head violently. "Help? No one ever wanted to help me." But Millie didn't move. She slowly knelt and pointed to a small, shivering puppy hiding behind a barrel, a stray with big round eyes and caramel-colored fur. "Look," Millie said gently. "Maybe someone still can." The puppy tilted his head and wagged his tiny tail. He looked just like Boby. Fury's breath caught. For the first time in years, her eyes softened. She crouched down, trembling, and reached out. The puppy licked her fingers. He's just like him," she whispered. "Boby," Millie smiled. "Maybe fate brought him to you. If you promise to stop hurting people, you can keep him. He'll bring back your laughter, the kind that heals, not hurts." Fury's lips trembled. Then she nodded slowly. I promise. Together they walked back to the town square. Fury uncorked her potion again, but this time she added a single tear and whispered a new spell. Fear to joy, grief to grace, let laughter find its rightful place. The air shimmered gold. One by one the candies melted and reshaped, people reappearing, confused but unharmed. The baker rubbed his eyes. Children gasped at the sticky sweetness on their clothes. The townsfolk turned to see Witch Fury standing there, her pumpkin mask tucked under her arm, a tiny puppy wagging beside her. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I lost my way. I forgot what kindness looked like." The people were silent. Then Millie stepped forward and hugged her. "It's never too late to remember." From that day on, everything changed. Fury became the town's most beloved figure. Her magic, once feared, was now used to heal sick animals, grow candy flowers for children, and light up the square with dancing lanterns. She named her new puppy Candy, in memory of both her loss and her redemption. Every Halloween, she and Millie dressed up in funny costumes. Fury always chose a pumpkin, just for laughs, and together they fed every stray animal in town. The people learned that night a powerful lesson, that even the coldest hearts can thaw, and even witches can be kind when shown compassion. And as the moon rose high each year, Witch Fury could be seen smiling on her porch, candy curled at her feet, handing out sweets to children who shouted, "Trick or treat." Only now it wasn't a chant of mockery, it was a celebration of forgiveness, friendship, and the sweetest spell of all, love. Moral: no magic is stronger than kindness. Even in darkness, a spark of compassion can light a lifetime of joy.